if you don't go in and define what the rules are when you set up a partnership, meaning state clearly, this is what we're doing, like you and I. If there's ever an endeavor, because you have certain God-given talents, certain talents that other people want to take advantage of, I have talents that people want to take advantage of, both of which can be monetized. Monetize away, but my partner gets half of it.
Yep.
And we just do that over and over again. So I would say to anybody that's thinking about a partnership, so you're not getting into the wrong situation, it's a relationship. Not unlike marriage or this dating time. If you don't clearly define the rules walking into it, you're also walking into a situation where you're going to have angst as it relates to being a partner with somebody in business. And people hang these symbols and signs on their succession steps within business, and they'll equate success in their business directly to themselves. Hey guys, welcome back to GrindWise. As always, I'm Erle and I'm sitting here with my partner Brent. Today we're going to talk about a lot of fun topics, but you do not want to stop watching because we're going to give you some really solid insight into what it takes to be a partner in business today. And we're going to actually reference our own partnership and talk to you about the things that have made what we do work and how we've gotten to where we've gotten today. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do it that way, but sometimes knowledge is power, and what has worked for us is mirrored based on what worked for other people in our own lives that we mirrored ourselves. So get ready, buckle up, make sure you're staying and paying attention because GrindWise is going to be good today. And if you haven't already done it, make sure you go down there, hit like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications when new content appears. But it's time for GrindWise. What have you been up to?
Well, we watched the fights last night. Those were pretty good, weren't they?
Those were good fights.
I called. Now, remember, you said you were good at calling fights. And how many did I call last night? I think I only missed one.
I don't recall.
So, I wanted to bring this up because this is really good stuff, right? So, Pappy, right?
Pappy?
Isn't they call him the guy, the second,
Pappy?
The co-main event?
Patty the Batty?
Patty the Batty. Whatever. Whatever.
When he gets older, they'll call him Pappy.
Yeah. So whatever. I don't watch a whole lot of fights anymore. Watch more now that you're here in town. So,
Pappy.
I kept telling you last night, he reminded me of Johnny Lawrence from,
yeah.
I was like, he needs to be, going out there wearing a Cobra Kai jacket and everything else. What I wanted to tell people is most people don't realize that back in your younger years, you look like Ralph Macchio.
I did look like Ralph Macchio. Yeah, everybody's like, "Oh, the Karate Kid." It worked. It worked for me in that era. He was pretty popular, so it worked out with me.
Do you have one of those bandana deals you put around your head?
I do have the bandana. No, those were good. Those were good fights, man. Patty took it to him. I thought it might go a different route there, but he's dominant. And
yeah.
When he was younger, watching this transition of fighters when they're younger and how they develop. And when he came on last night, the first thing I said was, okay, he's looking like an actual man now. It's not, this young fighter.
Well, like Chase, I was 25 fighting a 41-year-old. We both said this kid's going to probably either be a monkey on his back, which he was, or he's going to get knocked out really quick.
I like the fight game. Of course, my background, stuff like that. I'm getting ready to take off here next Thursday. I'm going up and cornering my son's fight. He's fighting at Conquest of the Cage. He's a heavyweight, kind of like me. So I still enjoy the game. I enjoyed this one a little bit better, this UFC fight. This last time, I felt like the refs actually called it correctly, point-wise.
Yeah. The last few fights have been kind of like, what is going on with this? I mean, in listening to, I don't remember which fight it was, but it was where, I don't know, I can't remember the guys' names, but
it wasn't Pappy.
It wasn't Pappy. It was a couple of guys where, the guy was grabbed his leg and he was really not defending himself, got hit like 30 times in a row, and they called the fight. And then, of course, Joe Rogan's like, oh no, he was the guy on the ground was winning the fight. This is unfortunate. I was like,
see, I didn't have him winning the fight. I didn't see it that way. And he was taking so much damage. They're like, well, a fighter's got to be able to intelligently defend themselves.
Yeah.
But he was trying to defend himself. It wasn't working. And then he was going to get up there at the last second. That could have gone either way, but he had just taken so much damage and he was already rocked. I mean, he was basically, they call it being out on your feet, but, Volkanovski, what a fight that was.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Whew.
That's kind of why I quit watching UFC a lot, was because you go watch these fights and it almost became boring. And these fights last night are probably the most entertaining fights. From every single fight was that way. There wasn't one fight that you could say that fight wasn't entertaining.
What about the guy who was doing all the Karate Kid katas? I was like, what is he doing? Stop moving your hands. Just throw them. He was,
Well, you were entertained. Were you not entertained?
I was entertained. That was crazy. Well, I get to go up and corner my son's fight here this next Saturday, so that's gonna be kind of fun.
We'll make sure to take some pictures so we can get them out on the
I will.
social.
Yeah, I'll get some pictures. It's crazy. Now I'm at that age. I just live vicariously through my kids. I have for a long time, but my son wrestled from the time he was a little teeny tiny tot on through, and I'll have some other kids are up. They're going to be at the fight. So it's man, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good time. Still, as a father, you hate seeing them go in there, and I'm like, son, you're like a light switch, right? You can only get turned off and on so many times. At some point, the light switch doesn't work anymore, and it's these fighters that you see there. It's like their voices change, everything about them changes.
Yeah.
Spooky.
Well, next time they have one here at River Spirit, we'll have to go up there. I can get us probably some VIP tickets. Every time I went up there, I've met, Frank Mir. I met him. The California Kid. I've met him.
Uriah Faber.
Yep. Yep. So that'd be really cool for us to go up there and get some tickets and get VIP tickets. Maybe we can get ringside. I always usually sit in a suite, which is where they come visit you at.
Nice.
And they bring you food in the suite too, so you don't have to leave the entrance.
Now you're talking my language. So you haven't said anything. I'm wearing my favorite shirt now.
Yeah. So this is we were talking to Brandon about this earlier. So for most people that don't know, Erle moved here July 3rd of last year.
Yep.
Lived in Atlanta. Throughout this process, he was here visiting a few times, checking out things, houses, area, and he was all packed up to head home. And he's like, "Let's go to the driving range." I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." It was a kind of a cool, almost windy.
Well, you had that new driver.
I had that new driver.
Yeah.
So we go up to golf course, and again, you always hear me talk about how I'm always dressed ready to go. And Erle has he's a big muscle guy. He's got a tank top on.
Traveling clothes.
Traveling clothes. You're gonna have to upgrade your traveling clothes, Erle. So we go into the clubhouse, and they're like, "Sir, you can't go out there with that on." And I was like, "Really?" I mean, we weren't at a big fancy country club.
Yeah.
I mean, we were like at a golf course a mile from my house, and it's not like the houses all around it are multi-million-dollar houses. Like, we're just going to the driving range, and they go pull this senior PGA Tour shirt out of the closet, and they're like, "Here, you can just have this." And
well,
it's
that
fitting.
Wasn't it exactly? They're like, they couldn't find a shirt because I'm 2X. I kept coming out with XLs, and I'm like, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. Then they found this one.
Yeah, well, it's fitting because, I mean, you are a senior.
Hey, now, easy does it, okay? I just got a weird random spam email about at this age dementia and the habits you need to change in the morning, and I went, okay, block.
It's funny when I owned the trucking company. After I took over from my father-in-law, he's 69, 70 years old this year, and so people correlated me to him, and so I get these sign up for your, all your senior benefits and all this stuff, AAA things in the mail all the time. I get phone calls all the time, people calling and asking for Walter. Like, it's annoying, and then you're going to get those. Wait for it.
I can tell you this: I have not taken advantage of one of my quote. I'm not that senior anyway. I'm 55. It's not like hey. But I haven't taken advantage of anything, or I try to ignore all the AARP mail that I get. I've been getting that for 4 or 5 years now. So trying to avoid, but enough about the fact that I'm not this old going into it. So today, look, I love these topics. And again, everybody who watches this knows I like to go into the deep dives and look at stuff. And there's a term that I saw here this week that I thought, that's kind of clever. I wonder what that really is, which is micromobility. Do you know what that is?
when you think of mobility, I think about people that sell wheelchairs.
Oh my! See, here we go. Always back.
So is it miniature?
Got to get off that
Is
topic.
it miniature wheelchairs?
It is not miniature wheelchairs. Micromobility, right? So, there's a company called Rivian. They're in the electric car space and stuff like that. But have you noticed around town those scooters that you can swipe a card and you can stand on them and go cruise around on those things? And now they got bikes out there.
Yep.
It's actually becoming a pretty big industry.
Oh, sure.
And
I saw yesterday. I don't know if you're familiar with a supercar Blondie. I think's her name. Blondie Supercar, whatever. She's has a big following. She's always like in Dubai, and she's
that girl, yeah.
Yeah. So she was on a deal yesterday, and I'm like, what is she doing? She's like on a golf cart looking thing, but it was a car, and it was it had a Bluetooth speaker that was magnetizing, and you could take it with you out of the car. It was like a little beach car, and it had play as for the gas pedal and pause for the brake pedal. It had like, where you put your foot, it was like play and pause. It was kind of cool, but it was, it's probably an expensive thing that people buy to have on the beach.
It's crazy the world that we're going to, but they pushed it on such an environmental front and things like that. Everything's got to go electric. Of course, now we have a new administration and we're kind of backing off on that, which seems appropriate when you have states that don't have the electricity to even run air conditioning.
Right.
Like, curtail that back. Don't run your AC. But let's all go electric cars.
Right.
Sort of smacks in the face of hypocrisy, at least in my mind. Maybe they're just a lot smarter than me, but this micromobility movement, Rivian just picked up over $100 million for their spin-off company, which is called Also. And they're pushing heavy into this smaller, lightweight micro electric car and things like that. Maybe you throw them in your backpack and they unfold. I don't know what the recipe, but it's an interesting shift in the transportation thing. You see a lot more people on these electric bikes and stuff like this now.
You keep bringing things to my things I remember watching from the previous week, right? So I saw a guy who had spent, I think, said 14 years building this thing. If you've ever seen a semi with a big toolbox, aluminum plate toolbox, it's a headache rack on the back of the truck.
Yeah.
So he built one of those, and inside of it has, I don't know what all was in there. It was a hydrogen. It had solar power to it.
It's just a rolling bomb.
What it was it would help the truck achieve 28 miles per gallon semi that normally get about 7. And he fires it up and drives it. And then, I sent you that one video of the guy that actually made gasoline with recycled plastic.
It's just, there's some smart people out there in this world. There's some really smart people. It's just that monetizing that intelligence and how do you get things into the marketplace. And it seems, for years I would always say there's a difference between marketing and sales, right?
Yep.
They're not the same. People think they're the same, but they're not. And now you get these innovative people that these I don't even remember what they're called though. The green scooters and stuff like that. Do you remember what they're called?
I don't
either. Why I didn't look that up, but I had a buddy. He said, "Man, I got this cool job." I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I go out and I collect these scooters because people will ride them. They'll toss them in the bushes or whatever, but they have locators on them." What's
limes? That? They're limes.
Lime scooters. Thank you. See, this is why we bring Brandon in here. Blue Couch Shoes, just a little bit smarter than the average bear, so he found that for us. Thanks, Google. And
I saw a guy yesterday. Yesterday I went to Lowe's. You turn off on Hillside there, and cars are going every direction. There's restaurants and stuff there, and this guy's flying. I mean, he had to be doing 25, 30 mile an hour on one of those scooters, and he's on the main road driving. I'm like, what?
Oh, they go fast.
Wow.
Well, you hear Teslas have so much torque. They're just blowing the doors off of some of these Tesla electric cars. There's so much torque. They're just killing people on the drag strip and stuff like that. I have a couple of electric bikes too, Pedagos, and my wife and I go out there on those things, and I've had mine up to 34 miles an hour, downhill. Just cooking. Yeah. But on the norm, it does about 21, 28 miles an hour. Like thing just cruises. But it's an interesting industry because you see people go up there, they swipe their debit card, they jump on it, go ride it around until they're done and hit stop or whatever. I've never used one, but as I understand it, they just swipe their card. You start putting these things out everywhere. It changes how people are moving around town.
Well, it gives people opportunity to get somewhere quicker if they want to ride one of them things, right? And they don't have to go out and buy it.
Yeah, I would say that's definitely watch out for type industry. I mean, if a person wanted to buy a bunch of electric bikes and rent them, if you live in a touristy part of town, things like that, it's.
I'm sure they do that already.
But well, yeah, I'm sure they do, but it's still another opportunity,
Yep,
right? Just
yep.
I love that stuff and the electric engine, all that stuff. It's definitely kicking up. So another thing that came across my table here in the last couple of weeks, because we go to a lot of conferences and things of that nature. You remember the Home Shopping Network?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You sit there for hours just waiting on something cool, and you're like, do I bid? Do I dial? Do I not? Right? That was big.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, huge. Did you ever watch the Knife Show one?
Yeah, I saw a lot of those. What was QVC? I think they still have that, don't they?
Yeah, I think they still got it,
Yeah.
but your parents would sit there and it'd just be on QVC
Right.
24 hours a day.
What can we buy today?
So we've conditioned society for sure to buy it with the digitally and things like that with Amazon and all the different other buying networks. People, it's pretty commonplace, right?
Yep.
And it came, I think, from that digital side, the QVC, watching TV, and not many people are paying for things the way they used to. It's all streaming services and stuff like that. But QVC was huge back in the day.
Yep.
I used to love watching the guy there. You can get 300 knives today for $29.95, and as a bonus, we're going to throw in this katana sword.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. And I'd be like, oh, I've got to buy it. What am I going to do with 300 and some odd? I don't know, but it just sounded so good. Well, TikTok is kind of that, and these social media platforms is the reemergence of kind of the QVC mentality, but it's putting it back in entrepreneurs' hands.
Yeah.
Have you been following any of this at all?
I mean, I get hit up from TikTok probably every single day trying to get me to sell products on TikTok. So I know that they're working that direction very hard.
There's stories of people going live. And there's one on this, and I don't want to butcher the numbers. I was in a conference listening to this, but I don't know how many $1 million worth of lipstick in 12 hours. He just went live, and here's the shade here, and if you want the nice chartreuse. So I don't know how many $1 million worth of TikTok of lipstick and skincare and whatever your tchotchke thing is. They're killing it. They're selling on going live.
Yeah.
Right. I get caught up in that little sweep. I'll be over on TikTok and they'll have a bunch of Roombas and, knocking pool balls in. So I'm like, I got to watch this. I got to see who's going to win,
Well, so going on to, like I said, I haven't even looked at the TikTok store. I just know that people are in there always promoting, and, you get the whole casino thing where they're like, all these influencers have been pivoting toward the casinos because you download the app, they get paid because you clicked on the link from them, and if you deposit money, and they're all like, no, I didn't have to deposit any money, and they give you 30 cents or something silly, and then they let you win up to 40. You can't cash out till you hit $30, and I've messed with them a little bit, but it's all hype, and they try to get you addicted to it. And so then you continue to buy. But the stores, just like there was a situation where a girl had went on and posted some kind of cool popcorn popper.
Okay.
And they did an analytics on her post, how many people it had reached. This is several years ago. And it reached, I don't know, 4 million people, and they said if 10% of those people would have signed up, she would have made like $80,000 off those people getting that popcorn deal. So people go out and do TikTok the wrong way, and they don't put a link to an affiliate link of some sort in the program, then they're missing out on opportunities to earn some extra capital.
But if you're an entrepreneur right now at home, and I started thinking about this, and I'll tell you the story about it here in just a bit, but I really started thinking about this week, especially because at the conference I was hearing about it, and then I was in on another Zoom call web conference, and they were talking about it again. If you're an entrepreneur and you have something interesting that you sell that you're like, I don't even know how to get this out there. But you can download TikTok for free. You can set up a YouTube channel for free. You can set up a Facebook for free. You can go live on Facebook, live on TikTok. We can go live on Instagram, right?
Yep.
And you just sell.
Interesting thought there. You and I have a super secret surprise we've been working on.
Oh, yeah.
I think I should go in and look at the store on TikTok and see what that looks like. Maybe we could put it on there.
That'd be fun.
We're growing our audiences massively with the help of Brandon at Blue Couch Studio. I mean, so we're getting a pretty good reach there. I think that'd be a good opportunity for us.
I know. I can't. perfect idea, because I came into this going, God, if you got something to, so of course we do, of course, I mean,
you just hit
let's do that. Let's do that. And then we'll talk about it and say, or maybe we'll say, hey, we're stopping GrindWise. We're retired because we were on TikTok for 12 hours.
Right.
we can do it like old Jerry Lewis telethon. That's probably dating me again.
What's Jerry Lewis telethon? I'm just kidding.
Do you know the Jerry Lewis telethon? Oh my gosh. It's like this 24-hour telethon raising money, and man, but they do this on TikTok. So if you have a product or something like that and you're not out there actively trying to pursue it in one of these new ways, you're missing the mark. And I really started thinking about how much this resonated with me. There's somebody here locally in Tulsa that you and I go up to, Tulsa Firearms. Riley up there, we like to go there. His store is awesome. He's got the best of the best. His people are super knowledgeable. And I was chatting with him. And he says, I've been doing this for 40 some odd years, and I used to run this half page, yellow page ad, and I still try to do it. And I'm like, what? And I go, when's the last time you saw the yellow pages? And he goes, well, it's like this thick now. I'm like, dude, you got to tell me where to get one. I don't even know where to get a yellow pages anymore.
Right.
And he says, I don't understand. People come in and we're super knowledgeable. We got the best gunsmiths. We have the highest quality guns out here, and whatever a person wants. Right. And we'll educate them completely on it. And then they pull out their phone. They're like, and how much was that? And then they Google it and they're like, oh, I found one for $25 less up the road.
And they'll drive up there.
I said, but you're into optics, you have targets, you have education, you have all these really, really cool things that people love. If you're not monetizing in one way, monetize it another way. Have you ever heard about TikTok Live? And he's like, huh?
It doesn't surprise me about Riley.
No, but we're talking about yellow pages and this old traditional marketing that people did. I mean, I like guerrilla marketing. I like a lot of the old school stuff and postcards, but we have somebody who works for us who used to send out like $6 billion print pieces per year. He says, I don't even try to get customers anymore because nobody's into it. And he had all the big names, right? Yeah. It's gone to the wayside. So we talk so much about pivoting in business, but frankly, if you have a product that you're trying to sell, and if you're not the authority in your space, go become the authority in your space. And the best way to do it is start a podcast. Just don't call it GrindWise, right? But and we speak all over the country, you and I do,
yeah,
right, about what we do. But what an opportunity, just sitting right there in your lap. You don't have to get on QVC because that's somewhat antiquated, right? That's sort of the yellow pages in this space. But if you haven't thought about it, and I wish I could remember what that phrase, I have it written down. You know me, I've got stacks of yellow notepads next to me. Other people are using notes on their computer. I like to write stuff down. So, but it's a pretty unique way to go out and get your product out there. And if you're not doing it, you should really start educating yourself on how to do it.
Yeah. The thing you always run into is people that have been in business for 40 years. It's not even night and day. It's completely different. It's night and day in different seasons. That's what it is. And so, when 40 years ago, white pages, yellow pages, flyers in the mail, whatever, that's what you did.
Right.
Nowadays, if you're not on social media, I mean, Riley's got competition with Bass Pro, Shields, yeah,
other
firearms places in town. He's probably got the best quality.
Oh, hands down. Yeah.
And for me, I'd rather spend that extra $25 and know that it was built there by somebody. And if I have a problem with it, I can take it back to them. You buy a gun at Shields. Yeah, they have gunsmiths. You take it back there. You're just another number to them. You're a person up there, right, with Riley. That's why
I like going in there. I love going there and window shopping, because there's just wall after wall of really, really cool stuff. But I'd really go in and talk to those guys because they really, truly know what they're talking about. It's kind of the difference between going to a Rolls-Royce dealership and maybe a used car dealership. You're going top echelon with them, and they know what the heck they're talking about. Yeah. And to me, if it's $50 more, it's worth it to be able to go in and talk to people that I can take it to the bank, not some
right
20 some odd year old kid who went through a employee handbook and he knows this about Rugers or this about Berettas, but that's the extent of their knowledge. You're talking about historical knowledge as it relates to a business, but it's still the same problem, right? You get swallowed up in this world of marketing and big names and the big box stores. So you have to separate yourself. And I was telling him, I said, Riley, just grab your phone, go live on TikTok, and you have some of the best optics. You have these classes, these courses, and your own range right here in your building. I mean, monetize that. Get people in there knowing you for who you are. It's not going to happen with the yellow pages.
You haven't even brought up the fact that we may have got ourselves booked there to do a studio recording at Tulsa Firearms.
Right.
Brandon, might want to let Brandon know.
Yeah. Well, obviously, we're not trying to monetize this on YouTube because we're talking about this, but it matters. There's good people in this world with really good businesses that, frankly, people that want to get involved with and understand, the products that they're buying, they're missing out. They should be going up there. I absolutely love that place.
Yeah.
Just for the conversation, for the window shopping, but the education that I walk out of there with, and I feel confident. It's not some 20 some odd year olds going, let me tell you how things work. And I'm like, you sure about that? So, but I think it definitely relates to the topic and how do you market in today's world? And gosh, we could do a long segment on that, but I've got more stuff here that I'm like, Brent, let's talk about it today.
What do you got next?
So, everybody knows I got 5 boys. I got a girl, so one of them's perfect. Just ask her; she'll tell you, right? But they're all awesome. They're all awesome in their own way. But I get them. The one boy, he's Dad. What should I do? Where should I go? And I'm like, you're only 26. You'll figure it out by the time you're 55. But my advice is always with AI and things like that, you got to go get the education. If you can't self-educate, go get the education, at least have the credentials going with it. So I started diving into that. I'm like, what does it take to go get a master's in AI, right? And Georgia Tech has a program. It's only $6,385. I think it's like a 7-month program. I think that's what I was reading, but there's multiple little micro programs where you can come out of there accredited. You can get your BA, you can get your master's, and actually have an education that you can monetize, right? If you aren't, you got to get on it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, cool. What does somebody with a BA in AI, a little 7-month course in there, what do they make a year, right? $63,000 to $74,000 a year starting, right? Not bad.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm actually glad you told me that because my oldest is in school to be a nurse of some kind or go into medical.
Right.
And she's working full time or as much as she can. She's, she works over a Quick Trip and she's like, I want to go to get a quicker degree so I can make more money so I can do the medical I want to do. And we're like, that seems silly. Why would you go get another degree? But you're talking what'd you say, 6-week or 7-week course?
I think it's like it's like a 7-month course.
7-month course.
Yeah.
And it's less than half of what she was.
Well, that's the master's program price at Georgia Tech. Yeah. $6,385 is what I was looking up. I mean, like, I got my master's degree. Immediately you think, you must be in debt for hundreds of thousands of dollars. But,
right.
And that will probably happen at some point because, anything that's good, they're going to figure out how to gouge you and get their pound of flesh on it.
So what is it, all virtual school?
A lot of it's virtual school, but the whole foundational stuff with AI is huge. If you have your master's, right? So you spend, $6,000-$7,000, you spend some months, you get your master's in AI, right? You can expect to make around 100 plus a year.
Is that do you have to have prereqs done for that?
Didn't explain like you did. I mean, I didn't read that. I didn't go as far down that rabbit hole, but yeah, definitely check it out. And honestly, if you guys are looking at, if you got kids and they're going, hi, I'm going to go to school because I'm going to get this job and somebody's going to tell me what I'm worth. Man, do something that separates you. I have the one son. He's been going through medical school for like 6-7 years, because he has to work and he has to take classes. He's straight A student. Emilio's awesome. He just nails it on every front school wise, but it's a lot of money. You got to get Pell Grants. You got to get all these things, and nursing and things like that. That's been around forever. It's always going to be there, but AI is the hot topic. They need people in it, right?
Well, they also said, in a news article I saw probably, a month or two ago, that a lot of the medical professions
Mhm.
are going to be pulled away because AI is going to be able to take a lot of stuff over.
It is.
I mean,
It is.
right now there's AI cameras that they put in semis. I talked to a lot of trucking companies. I
Mhm.
know, the FedEx contractors and everything else. They have AI cameras that you can put in trucks, and I actually know the guy that invented these. But it monitors the driver, and so
Really?
if the driver starts,
Not enough? Kinda.
it'll alert him, and they call him. Somebody
Really?
sitting in the call center, hey, wake up, pull over, go get a cup of coffee, go take a break. That's safety, right? It's great
Right.
stuff. But imagine that at a hospital on a patient, catching their body temperature, their
Mhm.
facial expressions, and it's going to be able to predict what's happening with the person. And so when the doctors come in, they already know what's happening.
That's super cool.
Yes, I see that as something coming down the road.
Hey guys, thanks for watching GrindWise today. Look, we shared a lot of personal stuff about our own partnership and shared some secrets and tips that we've used to make it work. But the reality is, those are secrets that we picked up from other people, and we've tried to mirror those in our own life, and it just happens to work. We're happy to share insight into your own business and provide you with the resources that are going to help you as you move along. All you have to do is take advantage of it by going down to the description, click for our free ebook, and also jump on one of our calendars. One of our business professionals, experts, maybe even ourselves, are going to be happy to reach out and talk to you. And while you're there, don't forget to hit that like button and smash that bell so you can get notifications when we bring in new content here on GrindWise. Looking forward to talking to you. So being a part of AI on the utilization side, being an expert there, what the next best thing would be the engineer, the guy who's creating the AI.
Yep.
And somebody goes to schooling to become an AI engineer. You and I have known a couple, right? 171 to 250,000 a year.
Wow.
In demand.
Yeah.
And it's not this long 8-year program, because at the rate AI is moving, 8 years from now, and maybe it won't even be called AI. Who knows? But
probably not. It'd probably just be called normal life.
But yeah, you gotta jump on irons when they're hot. And I tell my own kids, you want to work forever, learn AI, because it's not going away.
Yeah, I have people all the time, as entrepreneurs. I have a bank that I deal with up in Kansas, and one of the ladies there's son was getting ready to go to college, or going to college now, or going, when I get on the phone with them, they go, what would you recommend they do? You're a successful entrepreneur. What they want to own their own business. And I'm like, I've heard insurance agent, I've heard adjuster,
Right.
all these other things. I'm like, you got to realize all these things are changing. What was good 5 years ago is not going to be good in 5 years. And that's what I try to instill that in my own kids. Hey, I'm trying to nudge, but I can't push, right? So
right.
I'm like, AI is a place that, I honestly think I might go take that $6,000 course if I had time.
I was going to say, well, you're going to do this with what free time? Because I don't think either of us have that. But if AI is not your gig, if going to school is not your gig, if getting this highfalutin education, not that AI is a highfalutin education, but you probably should know something about it. There's industries that are never going to go away. Did you know that in the US, 70% of the population has pets?
Didn't realize that.
Yeah, 70% of you make up for part of that. You got 2 big old horses back there. They're dogs, but they're horses. They just love you to death. They think they're lap dogs.
Yeah, they do.
I have a couple little dogs.
Well, you actually have lap dogs.
I actually have lap dogs. Yeah. I used to raise Akitas, big dogs,
Yep.
right? But I found the little ones are a lot easier to clean up after.
Well, mine don't shed, and their house broke, so I don't have to worry about them.
Oh, they're awesome dogs. But 70% of the population has pets.
Yep.
Okay. But most population likes to travel. You know what it costs to board a dog?
I do.
Tell us.
Yeah, so I think the last time we went somewhere for like 4 days, I think we spent like $600 or $700 for those 4 days having boarded.
It's crazy, right?
The cool thing about it is, the dogs love it. You tell them you're taking them to that place.
Good.
You tell them they're taking that place. They're like running for their leashes. Let's go. Because there's other dogs there. They get to run around and play.
My dogs would not do that. They would hate me. I boarded them once, and they were like, the ones like, it was like Lieutenant Dan up in the mast during Forrest Gump going, is that all you got? And the other one's just scared to death, right? So one would enjoy it, the other one wouldn't. But you can pet sit.
Yeah.
you spend more than you probably spend on your hotel room for your dogs.
Yep.
And there's people that are true, genuine pet lovers that are at home. You could start a pet sitting business.
Remember Danny, my executive assistant?
Uh-huh.
She has a really good business doing that.
That's right.
And she actually babysitted Jelly Roll's dogs when Jelly Roll was in Tulsa.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I think she had took him to the groomer and all that stuff, So I mean, she's making a pretty good. I mean, she's got employees. She's just, she loves pets. It's just thing she was just doing, kind of make some side cash. She'd go stay while she was working for me. She'd take her laptop and go stay at somebody's do house sitting, and while doing house sitting, watching the pets and take the pet on a walk and everything else because she loves pets. And so now she actually has a team of people that are doing that with her.
Yeah, I know we had a tongue-in-cheek conversation about you could start a business cleaning up after pets in the yards, right? But if you like animals, which a lot of people do, pet sitting kind of allows you to do what you love, being with the pets, but also do other things if you're in there. And if you aren't trying to go to AI school and become an engineer, it's kind of a cool thing to do. And we talked about this the last episode, doggles and things like that. Yep. People spend money on their pets. They want to know that they're safe.
Yep, I agree. And that's, when you're traveling and doing things like that, some people take their dogs with them, obviously, but when you're traveling, that's the last thing you want to worry about is your pets.
It's like having little kids.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah. So take them to, people don't want to take them to a place that's not going to, you may have a family member or somebody you can leave them with, but, taking them to a place that's going to actually, take care of them and give them the attention that they need. And rather than, take them to a kennel, when I lived in a smaller town, when we boarded the dogs, I think they only got out to go to the bathroom and eat. And then they were in a cage the rest of the time.
That's not cool.
Kind of like like a vet clinic type deal. And I didn't like that.
So I wonder if, there's certifications you get, like CPR on an iguana.
Probably. I'm sure they have some kind of, pet something. I don't know.
I bet there is. I bet there's something for everything out there. I mean, if people need it or they want it, but that'd be kind of a fun gig, right? I'm watching kids. Yeah. I remember I used to pay a babysitter $100 and some odd even just so you could go get a night out to go do something. Right. And I'm like, I didn't even spend that on myself, but I got to spend that to somebody to watch my kids. But pets are people's kids.
Yep, they are.
So you can go the inverse, right? You could flip it over to another idea, which is, and I have a friend, him and his wife do this. They were in the big steel construction building business, for a long time. They just got burned out. People get burned out in business, right? And they transitioned over and they started, I'm not kidding you, they started a cleaning service. But these apartments and stuff like that, people go sideways. Maybe they bounce out of there. They don't pay their bill. They get evicted or whatever happens. Those apartments have to be brought back up to perfect state, right? So they'll go in there, clean carpets and all that. They started a cleaning business and they have all these contracts now with apartment complexes and stuff like that. And the added bonus is those people, they don't care about the stuff that's in there. Like, do what you want with it, haul it to the garbage, take what you want, pick what you want. They've picked up some pretty cool little treasures out of them.
I'm sure. We helped my father-in-law clean his garage out one day, and he bought a new Harley. And he's like, I got to have room for it. So I was like, I'll just rent you a dumpster. Rent a dumpster because he has stuff. I mean, from probably 1962. I mean, he still has the same clothes he's had in high school in his closet. And so I was like, let's get you a dumpster, and you used to throw stuff away. And when he filled a rollback dumpster that
wow.
I mean, it was a size of a small pickup or a mid-sized pickup. He filled that thing up, and then the landscape company came to do some mowing, and the Mexicans got in the back and started grabbing all the stuff out.
They're not dumb. They're not dumb.
They're like, we can either use this or sell this.
They can make some money, and that's the other side to their cleaning business. So now they've got eBay accounts. When they go and they clean these out, they were in a storage room. My wife was telling me, I was talking to her a couple of days ago. She said, well, we cleaned out a whole storage room that was tied to the apartment because I guess they have storage lockers or whatever, some of these apartments. And they found all kinds of treasures and stuff like that. So now they got an eBay where they go and they sell this stuff, and people are buying like ball caps and like vintage stuff. I mean, it's just amazing. So there's so many ways to make money out there, and it's not half page ads in a yellow page book, but with AI, with the digital industry, you can sell just about anything. There's always a buyer, right?
Yep. I mean, I sell stuff all the time on Facebook Marketplace or eBay, whatever, and I buy stuff all the time. And I was actually thinking yesterday, I've got so many things that I don't use and haven't used in a couple of years. Like we have some camera equipment that I'm probably never going to use again because I upgrade all the cameras. I'm like, why am I sitting on this stuff? I need to sell it while it's still got some value to it.
So you and I talk with business owners 24/7. I mean, literally 7 days a week, we're on the phone with business owners. People contact us from the podcast in our own businesses. People are constantly talking to us, and we have what we consider a perfect partnership, right? But one of the normal conversations we have with people all the time is, I got to buy out my partner, or this went bad with my partner, or things went awry with my partner. My partner's not doing what they're supposed to do, or those type of things. And I thought, you know what? Because most people don't enter business, 100% confident. A lot of times they'll bring in partners. They'll bring investors, which make partners, whether they get Class A shares and things like that. But some of the rules associated with a good partnership, let's talk about that a little bit, just for people that are watching and maybe thinking about getting into a partnership in business.
Yeah. I mean, my first thought is, number one, you gotta know, like, and trust the person. Because, if just like I actually looked yesterday, I'm 49 days away from going to the Bahamas.
Right.
And so I'm going to be gone for a week. Mm-hmm. And I know I can trust you to run things, except for the tech stuff, which is I'm taking my laptop.
Yeah.
So
good. Solid plan.
So, I mean, that's, put yourself in the position, if you're looking at a partner, that it's somebody that, if something happened to you, they would stand up and help support the business and the family and your family.
Mm-hmm. So there's a phrase used a lot, just out there, whether it's the biker world, whatever, that ride or die mentality, right? When you're picking a partner, it's no bad word can be spoke about your partner. You never buy into what other people are saying, because people are crabs in a barrel. They like to climb up on top of people. I think both of us in our business careers, we've had bad partners too.
Yep.
And we talk to people all the time, and over time, you sort of formulate some rules, some principles as it relates to it. Usually you swear off the idea of having a partner ever again, but the reality is most people, just like in business, they're good at specific things. You also need to find the yin to the yang, right, as it relates to it. So that offset, right? So your strong suits, in my mind's eye, I mean, you're just really good at technology. The things that I hate, you're just really good at it, right? So it's great opposition.
Yep. And you're really good. I'm really good at speaking redneckanese, and you're really good sounding like an attorney. So that works out really well.
Right. So I'm on the negotiation side, dealing with all that, and operations and business.
Whenever we first met and built this relationship, I always go back to, and I don't know what movie it was Ben Affleck, and he says, he walks in a room, he goes, I need you to come with me. I can't tell you what we're going to do. Some bad shit's going to happen. And I think it was Jeremy Renner or something. So he goes, am I driving or are you?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the type of partner you want.
That's the type of partner you want. So in partnerships, what I've seen frequently, what I've experienced is, once you're partners with somebody and you're doing a collaborative build, right? You're building something together. You're also committing to the other person that my time spent is going to be spent on something that mutually benefits us. So in our partnership, for instance, we came into it saying, okay, it doesn't matter if I make $1 or you make $1, half of that $1 yours.
Yep.
And if we're going to take and invest our time in something, maybe we buy a vacation property or something like that.
Yep.
We buy it together. And the reason is because there's an expectation in partnerships that the other person is going to be giving just as much as the other, even though there's times where one partner is working way harder than the other partner because that's more their vein. And this partner is working way harder than the other partner at some points because that's their vein. But it all balances out if you know that and understand it going into it.
Yeah. I mean, you have to have that. If you don't have that, there's no sense being a partner. I mean, you can partner with somebody for their money. But that's not a partnership. That's not going to work.
Yeah.
That just never does. I mean, if they put money in, they're going to want to they're going to tell you what to do. You lose that opportunity to be an entrepreneur.
So my dad in business, tremendously successful, partners with his brother, really kind of polar opposites in terms of what they do. You and I have talked about it. They're so similar. There's so much similarity to what they've done in their success in business over all these decades. I mean, just wildly successful, but it was that partnership that made it work. Yeah. My uncle, his partner was a lot like me in the sense that when it comes to the granular stuff, the legal stuff, the documents, the negotiations, and that really that fine tuning of the vernacular, picking up on things, that was his thing, right?
Yep.
And my dad's a lot like you in that operations, that grind, that understanding, that accessibility to the field, that worked really good there, and that combination goes. But I think it always goes back to knowing and understanding when you're entering into a partnership that you're also agreeing that it's a marriage of sorts, right?
Right.
And you don't pull from the other person. And I think that's where people go wrong. They label the idea of being partners as compartmentalized in that 9 to 5 sphere, and then they go off and do their own stuff.
No, doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way, right? Because good example. I fly out next Thursday. I'm going to go watch my son fight. You fly out for a week next month. I've got your back. I go up. I head out to another family thing in July. You got my back. But the reality is, we're 7 days a week, and there's no limit to how much time we'll put in. And there's times when I'm still grinding at 10 o'clock at night, and you were off at 9:45.
Right.
Right. Or the inverse of it. But I think people fall short on the partnership thing because they have expectations of what a partnership should be, and they miss the point that a partnership really is that.
Yep.
It's that marriage of sorts, and you have to be willing to go all the way in that regard, no matter what it is.
I mean, I always tell people, and you and I are cut from the same cloth. I would say, we can both be working. I always tell people 30 hours a day, 9 days a week, or, if we, funny enough, you and I both sometimes will randomly get an hour in the middle of the day where we're like, I'm doing nothing.
Yeah. Right.
So
I remember that one time.
Yeah.
That was good.
Well, you called me last week and you're like, I got an hour. I'm going to go to Tulsa Firearms. I was like, excuse me?
Well, I was letting you know because you're close as I am. And I'm like, meet me over there if you've got an hour. But it's hard to parse that stuff away. I think that I know that absolutely people just fall short because they don't have that. They don't set the ground rules at the beginning.
Yeah.
And some of the ground rules are like our conversations going into, we had a conversation. I said, this is my role. This is your role.
Yep.
This is your role. This is my role. And we knew clearly beyond definition that was what our roles were. And I don't step on your toes. You don't step on my toes. But because we both understand our roles really, really well, we succeed.
Right.
And if you don't say it at the beginning, there's too much ambiguity. Hey, let's go be partners. We'll build a business. Cool. What are you going to be? I'm going to be the CEO. What are you going to be? Oh, I'll be the president. Wait a second. I want to be the ambassador. Oh yeah. Well, I want to be the king. Well, I want to be the grand chancellor. People get hung up on titles rather than what the quote unquote title really embodies, which is really a job description. Right. And the way the external world views it is, if this is your title, then that's probably your role in business. If that's your title, that's probably your role as it relates in the business. But still being equal partners, if you don't go in and define what the rules are when you set up a partnership, meaning state clearly this is what we're doing, like you and I. If there's ever an endeavor, because you have certain God-given talents, certain talents that other people want to take advantage of, I have talents that people want to take advantage of, both of which can be monetized. Monetize away, but my partner gets half of it.
Yep.
And we just do that over and over again. So I would say to anybody that's thinking about a partnership, so you're not getting into the wrong situation, it's a relationship, not unlike a marriage or this dating time. If you don't clearly define the rules walking into it, you're also walking into a situation where you're going to have angst as it relates to being a partner with somebody in business. And people hang these symbols and signs on their succession steps within business, and they'll equate success in their business directly to themselves. You and I use words like us, we, our, this, that, and the other, because regardless of who brings the success to the table, it's our success collectively.
Right. Agreed.
And people just get lost up in that. I mean, and we hear it all the time. That's why partnerships go to the side.
You find people's true colors.
So I think that's a really good topic. Here's the thing, Brent. We come here week after week. We bring up topics. We talk about things as it relates to business. I think a lot of these things are super relevant for sure. I think people are going to draw benefit from it if they look at a construct of what people are doing this right, and then they try to mimic that or emulate that in their own business lives. They can certainly get ahead. But I feel pretty good about where we all sit and where we all land.
I agree 100%. I mean, we've got it laid out just right. It's funny. I was talking to somebody the other day about this. When we put together our structure of our companies, we brought in our spouses because they're very talented in what they do, and so we kind of figured out what everybody's title was going to be,
right?
And then it worked out that you work with my wife and I work with your wife. So it's never two against, if it's two against one, it's actually one against one in each house.
That's right.
So
yeah. And that's important too. This nepotism side of business, people always want, well, let me bring in my uncle. Let me bring in my wife. Let me bring in this. Finding that counterbalance. So just for the sake of in our structure, right? I'm the CEO, Brent's the president, but his wife's the CEO. My wife's the chief administrator.
CFO. You said CEO.
Oh, CFO. I'm the CEO. His wife's the CFO. Say acronyms and stuff like that. I'm the CEO. He's the president. His wife's the CFO. My wife's the chief operations officer. Operations officer works with the president. CFO works with the CEO. So everything's interlaced and tied together purposely, but not purposely. It just lent itself to our God-given talents. It just went that way. For us, it was perfect. But I would say that people entering these things really think about what does that mean to be this in a business? What is the job description related to how people identify you in business? And then understanding that's just your job.
Right.
It's just your job.
Yep. Just do it. You do what say it. And that's something that, you and I do really well with is communicating and staying in our lanes. Yep. If we know we're in a situation, we need the other person, we pull the other person in.
That's right. That's right.
How many times you're on a call, and I know I cut you off there, but
oh no,
I know you're on a call and you're like, oh, this is tech. And I'm instantly getting a call or text. I need you.
100%. I don't even try. I tell them, there's nothing wrong with not being good at something or particularly enjoying something. Just because somebody's not, a lot of times when somebody's not good at something, it's because they don't enjoy doing it. Right. And I just don't enjoy doing those type of things. So therefore I never apply my mind, but I really like other aspects of what I do that I know you don't like, so that side of it works out. God, we've been running long here today on GrindWise. Hey guys, thanks for watching GrindWise today. Look, we shared a lot of personal stuff about our own partnership and shared some secrets and tips that we've used to make it work. But the reality is those are secrets that we picked up from other people, and we've tried to mirror those in our own life, and it just happens to work. We're happy to share insight into your own business and provide you with the resources that are going to help you as you move along. All you have to do is take advantage of it by going down to the description, click for our free ebook, and also jump on one of our calendars. One of our business professionals, experts, maybe even ourselves, are going to be happy to reach out and talk to you. And while you're there, don't forget to hit that like button and smash that bell so you can get notifications when we bring in new content here on GrindWise. Looking forward to talking to you.